Hey guys, and welcome to Browney's Garage. As you may be able to guess by the sign behind me, today we're heading to Heathcote Park Raceway to see just how fast, or slow, my stock XR6 Falcon is before we move on to some mods to try and get a little bit more power out of this. And hopefully, if time allows, we'll be trying to make this thing go a little bit quicker completely for free today. If that sounds like something you're interested in, make sure you subscribe so you get these episodes as they come out. So come along for the ride and I hope you enjoy. Welcome into the first episode of our Barra Performance Mod series. We're running nice and early, so while we wait for the track and tech to open, let's run through a few things. The car we'll be using for this series will be my BA XR6 Falcon, with the only mods currently being its lowered suspension. Body-wise, this thing's had a hard life and it's starting to show it, but we'll save that for another series. I'd much rather get a bit more performance out of it and enjoy it a bit more that way first. That being said, it is in pretty good mechanical condition, with the engine and slushbox 4-speed auto having only around 120,000 Ks on it. And aside from someone going crazy with the body colour paint in the engine bay, it's otherwise untouched in there. It even has a single spinner diff, unfortunately. But even with that and cheapo tyres on the rear, I don't think traction's going to be a huge factor at this stage, at least not for now. The main aim for today will be to get some consistent runs so we have a better comparison for down the road. The auto should help with this. We'll be leaving that in performance mode and letting it shift itself, so that takes some of my poor driving out of the equation. We'll also be aiming for a safe and consistent launch, so I'll probably only stall this up to around 1500 RPMs and just let it go. And the final factor, it's actually my first time drag racing and first time here at Heathcote Park Raceway. Now, I've done a little bit of motorsport in the past, so I'm not terribly worried, but there's always a little bit of nerves that creeps in when you're doing something like this. I'm sure 1 or 2 runs, that'll be gone, we'll be having fun, and we'll be able to get some consistency. Alright, I think that's enough chat. Hopefully the next time you see me, we'll have passed tech and we'll be ready to line up for our first pass. Wish me luck. Okay, first pass. Hopefully you can hear me. Just going to try and go through the water box, no burnout. Get from A to B, see what we can do. Okay, here we go. Pre-stage staged. Oh, we've red lit already. Okay, here we go. Smashed by an Evo. Run number 2, lining up against one of the quickest cars here by the looks of it, this XD. Nice car. Aircon off, that's important. I need every bit of horsepower I can here. Alright, we're staged. See ya! Oh well, let's see what we can do. Definitely slow. With those first 2 runs out of the way, I was feeling more comfortable and started trying to launch the car from around 2000 RPM. This dropped our time a little bit, again down to 1629, but it was still much slower than I was hoping for. And that can be largely put down to one thing: a slow launch and therefore a really slow 60-foot times. Our trap speed was around 90 miles per hour, which indicates that the car has a lot more in it, even at this power level, but those 60-foot times were around 2.6 seconds, and that's pretty bad. For reference, generally anything you can take off that 60-foot time will double what you can take off at the end of the track. So if you take off a tenth off your 60-foot, you can generally bank on 2/10 coming off at the end of the track. So why is our 60-foot time so slow? Well, I'm thinking it could be one or a combination of a few things. Firstly, the diff gears in the auto. The diff gears in this are 345, which will be helping us a little bit, but first gear in that auto is still so long. We're not shifting out of first in this until around 80 kilometers an hour. So you can see how that would lead to a really sluggish launch off the line, especially with a low stall speed. Secondly, we may have been getting a small amount of wheel spin, which I never expected. As I mentioned, it's only a single spinner diff. These are really cheap tyres, and to go with that, it was stinking hot out there. It was 35 degrees. I'd hate to think how hot the track was. And I heard a few people mentioning they were having traction issues too. So perhaps, even though we didn't expect it, maybe we were having a small amount of traction issues coming straight off that stall and losing a bit of that speed at the start. And the third factor we can't forget, the spanner behind the wheel. Maybe this car could have been stalled higher, driven harder, or perhaps I'm just useless. We'll address some or all of these factors in the future, but on the day there wasn't a great deal we could do, and you have to remember we were trying to get consistent times for something to compare against in the future. But that being said, there was something that I wanted to try to go a little bit quicker on the day, and for that, let's go back to past me at the track. So, what we're going to do now, can we go quicker for free? Time to strip out anything we don't need. Passenger seat, back seat, spare wheel, get some weight out of this thing. There's an old school hot rod school of thought that if you take out approximately 100 pounds, it'll drop your time by a tenth of a second, so 0.1 of a second. So that translates to about 45 kilos. Hopefully, I reckon we can do that, drop a tenth off and maybe a bit more with a bit of decent driving. Maybe we'll drop into the 15s. Yeah, it's slow, but that's fine. So what we're really testing, I guess, is can we go quicker if you've got no mates? Driving a 16-second car, I might have no mates after this. Let's get to work. Hope he didn't break. Test launch or something maybe, who knows. I'll take it. I'll take it. Okay, so we're literally hot lapping this. I haven't even stopped to get my ticket yet, so don't know what I run on the last pass, but we're going to run it again and see how we go. Wait for old pop here on the motorbike. I'm not being disrespectful, that's his number plate. Bloke's a champion. Yeah, don't know about doing that. I'll keep away from the bikes for now. Alright, little burnout. Let's clean them off a bit. Stage up, hard on the brake. Oh, I've staged him early. Bring it up. 2 grand. Let it go. And that was our quickest pass of the day. We did get a few more runs in at roughly 16:1, but we left shortly after that to get out of the heat. We actually dropped a bit more time than the old school science would say, going from a 16:29 to a 16:05, but there were a few other factors in there, and it's only a really rough guide anyway, but you can see that dropping that weight out definitely drops your time. We now have plenty of data and a pretty consistent trap speed of around 90 miles per hour, which is a really good indication of how quick your car should be, as well as how much power your car has, even if your 60-foot and launch are a little bit off. Going forward, we're obviously going to be trying to get some more power out of this car, so stay tuned for that. But I'm also considering putting some new tyres and LSD in this car. I'd really like to have a good go at improving those times next time we go back, and I don't want to be the guy doing single spinner burnouts anymore. But honestly, the most important takeaway from that day is this: we had a ball. Don't be afraid to go out and give it a go. It doesn't matter what you drive or how slow you are. No one's going to give you a hard time or kick you out as long as you're doing the right things. It's no problem. They're going to look after you, and we were by far not the slowest car out there, but that doesn't matter. Everyone's just out there having fun. So give it a go. Don't be afraid. So on that, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.